Welcome to the Tradies in Business podcast with your hosts Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Divert your phone and grab a brew as Waz and Nic unpack tips, tales, secrets and stuff-ups from guests both inside and outside your trade, helping educate and inspire you to break the cycle of gut-busting and money stress and create a true trade business.
Right, you're up, Coxie.
Okay, it's my turn. I want to talk about something really boring.
What are you going to talk about?
Paperwork.
Paper what?
Paperwork.
It is, isn't it?
It is work.
Paper work.
Mm-hmm. But I don't want to talk about the financial paperwork. We'll leave that for another day. Today I want to talk about the processes of paperwork.
Can you do this one on your own?
No, you've got to chime in because it's not half as funny if I do it on my own. I suck at being funny.
Can I scroll Marketplace while you're doing it?
No. No, you can't. That would be rude.
That'd be much better use of my time.
Oh, come on now.
Paperwork, yes.
I wanted to touch base on, this isn't something that's going to affect everybody if I talk about variations. So I'm going to talk about processes of paperwork, full stop. So for...
You just said two P's in a row.
Processes of paperwork, processes of paperwork, processes of paperwork.
Whoa.
Oh, that was hard.
Can you tell it's a Fuck It Friday on the Tradies in Business podcast?
Which
G'day,
rebel
listeners. How are you this Friday? Are you feeling pumped? Are you pumped about your paperwork?
Probably not, because they know we're talking about paperwork.
No. Let's say paperwork again.
Paperwork.
There'll be people having like meltdowns in their utes
Paperwork.
listening to this.
Or
Or tradie wives going, yes, talk about the fucking paperwork and tell my husband or partner to give it to me, for goodness sakes.
But then they bring it in just a tray and there's like 500 receipts in the tray and they're all scrunched up and you don't know what's for what.
Well, at least I gave you the paperwork.
That's not even the paperwork we're going to talk about today.
Oh, what are we talking about?
We're going to talk about the
Variations.
paperwork.
Yes. What's a variation?
So a variation for a builder.
Is that the thing where a client wants something changed and you do it for free?
Almost.
That's a variation, isn't it?
That's the way most people do variations. And they do most people do variations that way because they don't do the paperwork.
So the paperwork is a magical unicorn solution to getting paid. Is that right?
Well, it's going to get you closer than not having paperwork.
Yes. So why is paperwork so important, Coxie? Please enlighten us today.
Because we don't want to go broke. Because it only takes one client to not sign on a variation and then not pay the variation for you not to get paid.
It's a bit boring.
That might be your tipping point, though. It's not really boring when all of a sudden you've got no money to pay the bills and the bank is foreclosing on your house and you are going bankrupt.
That's a bit of a gloomy picture for a Fuck It Friday episode. I thought these were meant to be fun.
Well, we can have fun around it, but it's a serious one. But I'm concerned. I keep seeing this same thing pop up left, right and centre.
I actually said to you the other day, after hearing another example of this exact scenario, which you and I would have lost count of the number of stories like this that we hear from tradies, particularly those in the construction sector. It's not just builders that have variations.
No, and there are other forms of this same paperwork.
Yeah, totes, 100%.
Whoa, whatevs.
Yeah, Eshe.
Far out.
Eshes don't do paperwork.
No, Eshes don't. Maybe I want to be an Eshe after all.
If you don't know what an Eshe is, go to urbandictionary.com.
Yes.
Look it up.
It's pretty
It's the dumbest thing you ever heard.
horrible.
But anyway, one of Coxie's kids is an Eshe, apparently.
No, he wants to be. He's not yet. He wants
he's
to
an
be.
aspiring Eshe.
That's what it's exactly
He's
what
an
he's
apprentice
doing.
Eshe.
That's what he wants to be.
That's not a good thing, hey?
He even wants one of those stupid grills like the American rappers have. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. They put this, I think it's a temporary thing, and it's all silver or all gold, and it fits over their teeth. So when they smile, they have gold or silver teeth. I am not even freaking kidding you.
There's something wrong with this world, hey?
I know. That's
Anyway,
what my kids are aspiring to.
Send him up here to Toowoomba. I'll straighten him out.
I'm going to send him out with James Greenshields. That will sort him out.
He's got to volunteer for that, though.
Yeah, well,
You're going to have to
do
be pretty
a hell of
crafty.
a lot of needling, don't you worry.
He'll volunteer after you cut him off from everything in his life.
Does he want to play Xbox or does he want to go to the bush for a week?
Technically, I don't think that's volunteering, Coxie.
Oh, well, it's my version of it's going to work.
It's like calling for volunteers, like, you, Bidwell, you just volunteered.
Worked for us, though, didn't it?
So paperwork. What the fuck's all that got to do with paperwork?
Nothing. It's just us rambling. But you know what paperwork can do? save your sanity.
It can stop you from turning into an eshay.
It can stop you from turning into an issue because you will have no money left and you will have to resort to drugs and violence to make any kind of money to pay back your debt.
The only paperwork you'll be doing will be at the police station with the popo. So, paperwork, variations, yes. Other industries have variations on variations? No, they have their own version of variations. With clients requesting additional services or going outside of the original quote or whatever.
Signing off on the quote before you even do the work.
What? You mean you get people to sign off on the quote?
Yes,
Get out of town.
Of course
What?
you do.
You crazy woman.
I know, but that's because I like to get paid.
So, listeners, if you made any sense of that, please tell us how.
Here's the quick, short, sharp lesson.
Yeah.
People, you need to get the variations signed before you do the work or the client doesn't have to pay you. It's as simple as that. Doesn't matter how good your T's and C's are. Doesn't matter what you've got installed left, right or centre or how many debt collectors you send on them. If they haven't signed that piece of paper before you do the work, they don't have to pay.
You are royally rogered.
Okay, so in this case, just in this week alone, I have met with a builder who has over $100,000 outstanding in variations who may probably not, for 80% of them, get paid.
Ouch.
And
I have a sore bottom just thinking about it.
there goes his house.
Far out.
If he's not careful, depending on how his debt was secured, there goes everything.
How big was the project?
Huge. Like, well, just under $1 million.
But that's 10%
Yes,
in
see-
variations.
And here lies the other problem.
There goes the 9% margin he might have made on the project.
The other problem is we don't position our clients well at the beginning of the process. And therefore clients suddenly believe that they can have a variation upon variation upon variation upon variation. Now, in our own business, we were guilty of doing this. It was the final nail in the coffin. Had a client with 80 variations on a job.
Oh, that's fun.
80 variations on a job. They were all signed off on. However, there were some other complications and, yeah, it can be your undoing.
And it really it rips my heart out, Coxie, to hear these stories. And I've spoken to a couple of people just in the last month that they're literally facing financial ruin, like your example, because of some pissy paperwork.
Yeah.
And well, really, it's the paperwork, but I think the bigger problem or the deeper problem is the reluctance to ask for an approval. And as I said to someone recently, I said, yeah, but if they don't sign off on it, then I got guys standing around doing nothing. And I said,
charge them for that time
that's
too.
fucking right.
Yep.
That's not your fault.
No.
If the client won't sign off on it, if you've told them that's the process in advance, right, at contract stage, before contract stage.
Before.
But, once pen goes to paper on the contract, the client needs to know, whatever your trade is, that if there's anything that gets changed that is outside the scope of that contract, then you'll be approving that in writing before we proceed with any other works that are impacted by that, right?
It's a legal requirement.
And that's what I was going to add too. Like, I'm not an expert in this area, but my understanding is that on top of the issue of not getting paid for those variations, they become uncontracted works, which is illegal
And you will be fined.
if you're a licensed contractor.
Correct. And you will probably lose your license.
So it's something that I don't really hear much industry talk about this stuff. There's lots of talk about qualifications and all this other crap. It's all really important stuff, right? But then there's this like sub-layer of things, which is why we've partnered with, some of the people we have in the trade desk, is to make sure that this stuff is covered off on. But there's this layer just below the surface of all the obvious things that people are talking about. And we watch a lot of groups online and, there's chat in our group from apprentices and young people starting their own trade business. And they're so focused on the things they think they need to have in place. And they're completely unaware or ignoring things like a simple paperwork or paper trail process where you get variations signed off on and you walk off the damn site until you get an approval, because otherwise you're risking your own assets, your family, your bankruptcy status, everything, just by not getting a piece of paper signed because you don't want to upset the client.
It's incredible to think. So all of this stuff is actually taught, let's say, for example, in a Cert 4. So the builder writes and teaches Cert 4. And so I hear him teaching this to his clients. So to students that are going to go on and they're going to run a building company of some form. And yet I see them come out of there and make these mistakes immediately. It's because we're all working so hard just to get through to the end of that process without really thinking about the gravity or the weight of what can go wrong. So, yep, I really get it, right? You're on the job. You're just trying to get through it because there's another variation. It's going to take too long. There's all this dicking about. The guy's here today. I just want him to get in and get it done. Right, I haven't priced it. I know it's not going to cost much, so I'm pretty sure they're going to pay. Haven't had it signed off on. We'll just get them in and get it done. It's so much quicker. It won't hold me up. The boys will be able to keep doing what they're doing.
They're good people. The
There'll be
clients
no
are good.
lag. That's right. They've been really good up until now. Everything's been fine. I mean, she did ask for it, and then he mentioned something about it being okay as well. So we'll just get it done. But that's the worst thing you can do for you and your business.
And your clients.
Well, very much true.
So if you're actually, because most tradies I know, regardless of the industry, they care about their clients. They want to do a good job. They want to take care of the people that are paying their wages, right? Mm-hmm. And by not getting the paperwork, you're leaving them exposed as well. Like you're doing a disservice to everybody.
Yes.
And I know we make it sound super simple, Coxie, of just get the paperwork signed. Just walk off the site. Waz says just walk off the site. What the fuck would you know, Waz? I got a chippy standing around. I got an electrician there who can't do anything else. Like they're all billing me at $40 to $50 an hour and then some. And you want me to just down tools and stop work? Yes. Because that $300 that it cost you, as Coxie said, you should actually be passing that on to the client as well.
Yes.
But that's a hell of a lot cheaper than a $30,000, I don't know, lost variation bill or a $100,000 fine or losing your license and losing everything. You got to think a bit further down the track than how much freaking money you're getting paid this week.
And you know what? To everybody that says, oh, yes, but it's just more paperwork. You know what? It really isn't. It's going to take you a little bit of time to set up your process in the beginning. And then when the process is set, it is simple. So there are some fantastic tools out there. So you can just do it on your iPad or your phone.
Yep.
Get them to sign off on the spot. There are other tools. I mean, you can just have an old-fashioned invoice book that's printed up as a variation book.
Yep.
It doesn't matter how you do it. You've just got to get that paperwork in and the signature done, or you're not going to get paid, potentially.
Well, that's right, potentially. And the trouble is, you do it a couple times, you got paid. It's like, it's not that big a deal. There's never been an issue before.
Yep.
No one's ever not paid me before.
Yep.
And then there'll be that one time.
Oh yeah.
And someone does you for $17,000 on a $75,000 job that you're only going to make 10 grand on anyway because your labour blew out and you didn't keep a track of your materials properly, and then you didn't get the variation signed, and the client's a bit savvy and goes, yeah, no, I'm not going to pay that.
Yep, I'm not paying. I didn't sign. Can't see my signature. Sorry, not paying.
And while we're at it, not really happy with that thing over there or the way you finished the bearers off.
That's right. I'm going to need you to come back and
too?
fix that, or I'll call the QBCC.
Get your paperwork, people. Honestly, we started out stuffing around at the start of this episode. That was
terrible.
We started out talking shit, and this has turned into a bit of a plea from Coxie and I.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this and you're not doing this stuff, please, please, please make sure you change what you're doing and get paperwork signed. If it's a quote acceptance that you need to get, if it's variations, if you're doing construction works, whatever it is that you're basically just sticking your head in the sand on as far as getting paperwork, please go and do something about it. We hear so many of these stories, and you might think it's not going to happen to you. And you know what? Maybe it won't. So tell a mate about this. Tell them about this episode. If you've got a mate that you see them doing this stuff, it's like, fuck, man, you're leaving yourself exposed.
Yeah.
Share this episode with them, and we'll tell them. So you can preserve your friendship. But, help your mate out, or if you're a tradie wife or tradie partner and you're worried about this stuff, prod your
You can
man
help.
and
Yes.
share this episode with him, or
Help create a process for the variation. Like you can help so much. You don't have to stand by and just be worried about it. Get involved.
yeah.
Just set up a process. Once the process is there, it is easy.
Absolutely. So, that being said, I am going to plug the shit out of the trade desk. Is that okay, Coxie, if I do that now?
Of course you can.
Yeah. So, basically, the trade desk is... We just talked about paperwork and getting variations signed. That's one example of the sorts of things that we support and educate our trade desk members on. Because, you've got your trade qualifications. As a listener, we know you're probably a fantastic tradesperson. You do great work and you strive to. And sadly, they don't teach a whole bunch of stuff at, tech or building school.
Struggling.
Whatever your trade school is, right? It's all about your trade. And the business stuff, I did it the same way, right? I did an accounting degree and they didn't teach you shit about running a business. It was all about accounting and finance, okay? Now, some of those skills are transferable, but Coxie and I have put together this thing called the Trade Desk. If you don't know about it, please go over to tradiesinbusiness.com.au/trade desk. If you just go to our homepage, you'll find it there. It's not a lot of money. We've made this affordable for tradies in business so you can start to make some changes. It's $49 a month. It's a carton of beer, seriously. And it could save you thousands and thousands of dollars simply by getting your variations signed. It could avoid a lawsuit or a suspension of your license. It could help you actually get paid on time by some of your clients with the scripts and the processes that we actually teach our members in there. So there is a shit ton of other stuff and other value in there. We've got partner offers. You get us live every fortnight on a Facebook
lucky
Q&A.
buggers.
Oh my gosh, that's worth millions of bucks.
I don't know if people agree with us.
We
there.
might stop talking about that because people are like, fuck, I don't want you two live.
More? Really?
Jeez, you never shut up.
Shit.
But that's your opportunity to ask your questions and get answers from us, but more importantly, from your peers. So there's hundreds and hundreds of tradies out there that are basically doing things, learning lessons, and they're in our groups ready to share their knowledge as well. So head on over, tradiesinbusiness.com.au, check out the links, go have a look at the trade desk, and yeah, basically join up. There's no contracts. If it's shit, you can cancel. We're not going to hold you to anything. And actually, we'll give you your money back. If you stick around for a month and you don't reckon you got value, we'll give you back your $49.
There you go.
In dollar coins. No, 50-cent pieces.
Can we get 1 cent pieces anymore?
They don't make them anymore.
I can be really spiteful when I'm there.
But yeah, go check it out. We'd love to see you in there. And for fuck's sake, get your paperwork done.
Please.
You've been listening to the Tradies in Business podcast with Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Find out more about today's guest, tools for your trade business, and other cool stuff at tradiesinbusiness.com.au.